My name's Dave Collins, I'm 62. I'm at home, which is in Wednesbury, and I'm retired. I suppose they were a big part of my childhood, really. From the age of about 8, you couldn't really put the TV on or the radio on without being aware of them, and I think that through being interested in their music, which was, I suppose, at the time pop songs, I got interested in other types of music, like rock and roll, blues, R&B, Tamla Motown. They're just a big part of growing up. I was 15 when they split up in 1970, so those sort of formative years where I was interested in music, they were a very big part of it. They just seemed like four ordinary guys that you could have bumped into in the street, but they're obviously very different, very, very talented. Yeah, they were just a very, very big influence on my years growing up, really, and I've carried on being a bit of an influence since then. I Saw Her Standing There is probably my favourite. I think it's just a great rock and roll song, really, and it demonstrates a lot of their abilities and probably what appealed to people when they first started. I like Strawberry Fields. I think that's a great song. In My Life, that's another one. I could go through loads of them. I'd push to pick a favourite. If I was pushed to do it, I'd say I Saw Her Standing There, which is one of the very early ones that I heard. Perhaps that's why. It's got to be John Lennon. I think that he was more honest in his songwriting than Paul McCartney. I mean, he always says that he wrote about himself. I think that he added lots to Paul McCartney's songs in the lyrics. I mean, I Saw Her Standing There. He added, You Know What I Mean, to She Was Just 17. Paul McCartney was going to put She Was Just 17, She'd Never Been a Beauty Queen. And I think that just adds that bit of an edge to it. And Hey Jude, he added the movement you need is on your shoulder. There's lots of things that he added to it, and he was a good guitarist, very underrated guitarist. He was quite aggressive in the style, in his guitar playing style, in his rhythm guitar playing style. He always said that he wasn't a good guitarist, but he could drive a band. I also liked his sense of humour. I liked the way that, when journalists often tried to get the better of him and try and belittle them, he would often hit back with something really quite cruel and put them in their place, and I quite like that about him. I think obviously the first thing is the songs. I think that the only band that I've heard that came close to their songs in the early period was the Kinks, but I think that their songs stand out way above most bands, really, even now. I think what you've got four very, very good musicians who I think are very, they are underrated. I mean, all of them were very, very good in their own field. You've got three good guitarists in the band. You've got three good songwriters. Their time was probably right because they emerged at a time when the teenager was sort of being invented. There were good photographers about. The culture was changing around fashion, around TV. I think there were loads of things that came together, and I think that they were lucky in the time that they got there, but they were very, very talented, and I think that a lot of young people are recognising that. They've got to be the best band that's ever been. I'd say listen to them. I can't really think of one word that describes them. Brilliant.